I'm not gonna make this formal, just tell you about my journey through filmmaking, my experience, my passion, my joy, my hard work, I think, also, and then we can take it from there. So, my name is Magnea Björk Valdimarsdóttir, and I am a documentary filmmaker by coincidence, total coincidence. I studied acting firstly. When I was 20, I was acting in a professional theater, the main role for a whole winter. I was always into acting, theater, film, and my main job was being an actress, being a theater teacher and a director for kids and teenagers, and a tourist guide, because I speak French and Spanish. I've been living abroad a lot, and so I could use the languages for extra money as a poor artist. But after the financial crisis in the year 2007-2008, I was teaching theater in a school downtown Reykjavik City, and I borrowed a video camera from my parents, small HD camera, and I started walking the street besides the main shopping street in Iceland. So if the shopping street is clean with shops and people, the side street was the darker side, the drug addicts, the graffiti, not the mainstream art, grassroots art, we could say. So it was a very interesting street, because it was supposed to be the fancy street, the boulevard, when it was built, but then it became the sort of the ghetto, and it fascinated me, and I started taking walks, because a few years earlier I had started to make a film with my friend about this guy that was sort of the town bum. He was working in all the bars, taking away dirty glasses to get drinks, free drinks. And we met him at where you can play pool, snooker room or pool room, and he started telling us stories that were so crazy interesting, that this little guy had this incredible life, and he had traveled the world and told us so many interesting stories. It was just like in a movie. So when I decided to make a film with my parents' video camera in the year 2011, I tried to track him down, because he was always hanging in bars in this street this side street. But I found out he was dead. He died from drinking. So I came out of this pool place, this darts pool, sports bar, or what you call it. And I just looked around and thought, like, why don't I make a documentary about this street? It's full of life and stories and everything. And when I told my best friend, who is also a filmmaker, he said, do you know there's a guy that blesses the houses every day? I used to live in that street, he said. He goes around and blesses the houses, all the houses, every day. And I thought this was something interesting. Okay, wow, what a story, really, this is something I would like to dig into. Which didn't happen right away. I looked for this man for a whole year. Although he lived in Hverfisgata, he was like a mystery man. I couldn't find him. and nobody knew his name, and it was really mysterious until I found him. I was able to make an interview with him, and all of a sudden I was in his home. After we interviewed him in a cafe, I was in his home. I knew everything about him. It was wonderful. So my only advice to you as an upcoming filmmaker is to be curious and say yes to ideas. This is something I have from theater and art making, that yes is forward and no is stop. So this has helped me a lot through my adventures, because in a way being a documentary filmmaker can be so adventurous, and you can go and experience many different things if you're open to it. But you have to be at the same time very respectful in your behavior, everything. And the most important thing you have to do is being able to listen to people. So because I have studied acting, and I've been playing in films and TV shows, it's quite different. The organization is quite different. So if you can, like, if you're making a documentary, my first short documentaries, I made quite a few short documentaries from 2 minutes on up to 30 minutes. First, I was always making them by myself. I was filming, did the sound, editing, everything. We downloaded Final Cut Pro illegally, you did everything. I didn't have the money, I just found ways to be a filmmaker. I wanted it so badly. I didn't have the money, but I just found ways. So compared to today, you could make a film on your phone. Everything is possible. Just find the way. And listen. Be open and listen. That's what I would recommend. So my first documentary, I worked on it for 2 years, and I sent it to a Icelandic festival, and it was screened there, and I was very happy, and okay, this is life. I made a documentary, but I couldn't imagine that I would get so fascinated, and one idea leads to another idea. So it's also like when you're working, you get an idea for the next documentary, and also one idea that you thought you were going to make a documentary about a banana, but then it becomes a fruit salad or something. Can be anything. So I would suggest to being open. Documentary filmmaking is a journey, while filmmaking, like if you have a manuscript, a story, you're much more narrowed down to following the script and respecting the script. In documentary filmmaking, you can have a script, but you can also there's so much that happens in the editing room, so much adventure, and this is also something that fascinates me, because I like going out in the street with my camera, having adventures, and meeting new people, and learning new things. But also in the editing room, what happens in the editing room is also magic, because you can tell a story. You can choose what kind of story you want to tell. So my second documentary because I was making documentaries about the city center and the people in the city center, and maybe the people you don't usually see, the outsiders. I decided to make a documentary about the women in the supermarket. It's called Bonus, the main supermarket in the main street, shopping street. And there was this Icelandic woman, Polish woman, and a woman from Thailand. And I decided that I was going to make a film about racism. In a way, I was like, okay, I have a saying as a filmmaker, and I'm gonna interview these 3 women and, you know, teach these racists how to behave. But one of the ladies, the one from Thailand, quit working in the supermarket. So there were 2 left. And the Icelandic woman was this kind of a woman that if you were shopping and you went to her register, she said, "Oh, are you going to buy this chocolate? It's disgusting. Oh, this is a very good soap. I like it. I use it by myself. Very personal." And when I got to know her, I realized that she had many mental diseases. So actually the film developed into being a story about her mental diseases, and then the love story of the Polish woman that was very well educated from Poland. She was an environmental engineer, and she came to Iceland to follow her love. So it was a love story. But it became a totally different film. The 3rd film I made is quite different. It happens in Greece, on the island Lesbos. I went there as a volunteer in the year 2018 and 19. Then I was studying filmmaking in France, and I went there 2 times to work with fugitives coming through the mainland from Syria, walking through Turkey, risking their lives on boats, coming over to Greece, to Lesbos, trying to get to Athens, trying to get to Europe in search for a better life. And there's always coincidence. I was going to work as a volunteer and make a short film, but when I got there, there was this other guy from Iceland with this big project to make film about refugees. So I decided to film and make it into a very short documentary. And that documentary is probably 2 or 3 minutes. And it taught me to say very many things in a short period of time. So my main ambition there was maybe also to tell people how I feel about the state of the world. That we are also responsible and we have to do something about the state of the world. That we should all help each other. So yes, this was my journey through Lesbos to make this film about refugees. In a way, I wasn't telling people what to think. So I was starting to develop as a filmmaker, trying to tell a story, but still just showing the world as it is. And you're not taking sides, you're just showing the world as it is. After I came home to Iceland, after studying filmmaking and going twice to Lesbos, working with the refugees, I decided it was very hard in the winter time. It's so dark here that I would spend January with my family in the Canary Islands in the sun and get some sunshine. And one of my best friends came over to my house and said, I have an idea for a documentary actually. She just moved from London, she had been living there for 7 years, and she said, did you know that there is this crazy interesting Icelandic society living in the Canary Islands? There's this woman that, her name is Clara, and she has this bar where all the Icelanders come and play the accordion and sing together, and all these retired people, and it's just really an interesting world. And there's this Indian guy called Harry who is from India, living in the Canary Islands and speaks Icelandic, because he's always selling mobile phones and cameras to the Icelanders. And I just, in a way, I connected with the idea in that way of looking at people as outsiders. So there you have a community that is like, in a way, like outsiders, like I was doing here in the city center in Reykjavik. So she decided to join my family, and we met all these people and took interviews. We went there 3 times and worked on it for 2 years and made this documentary called Canary. It's about 30 minutes long, and I don't know why I'm always telling you how long my documentaries are. Doesn't matter if you make 30 seconds or 3 hours. Just if you have something to say. I would say, if you have something to say and it's sincere and it's something that you believe in. So as an artist, you learn to kill your darlings, it's called. You have so many ideas and you want to put them all in the film. But little by little in the editing room, for example, and if you give it time, you start to, choosing the best scenes and putting them together, and then you try another thing and you try another thing, and you give it time. So my advice would be to film a lot, to try to film as much as you can. If you're making a documentary about different types of weather, you should, go out, and it's not enough to film, snow one time and then a sunny day one time. You have to go again and again and again. And the same with people. If you want to get to know them, if you want to build trust, this is also very important. If you want to build trust between you and the main character in your film, you have to give it time. And yes, so I have 2 more documentaries to tell you about. But first I want you to go now. You have 8 minutes. You have 8 minutes to Google by yourself something about documentary filmmaking. It could be anything. So I'm going to give you some ideas. It could be a documentary film. Different types of documentary films. As you know that there are all kinds of types of documentary films. It can be about a pop star, it can be about an ant in Africa, it can be anything. So if you Google something that is related to documentary filmmaking and tell your classmates about it, or your group. So it could be a film, it could be a documentary filmmaker, could be a certain way to film, camera style, editing, music. It can be anything, but just don't Google the first thing. Just don't pick the first thing that you find. try to scroll and dig deeper and dig deeper. So you have 8 minutes to learn something new and tell us about it. You can go. I will wait here and meditate. Joking. So I hope this went well, and I hope you learned something new. I hope that you learned also something from others, and the main thing is, if you have an idea, to share it with others and see what they think, and listen to your heart and listen to your idea and your vision, but also be open to discussing it with your friends and family and just anybody you trust with your idea. So next film, I'm just going through my journey. My name is Magnea, if you forgot, and I'm gonna tell you about my 2 last films. The first one is a short documentary, and the second is my first feature, full-length documentary. And this short documentary I made called Helgi á prikinu, or Helgi on a stick, is a film about another Helgi, the guy who blessed the houses in Hverfisgata, or the Holy Street, my film. He's also called Helgi, which means holy man. And this guy, he goes to a cafe in the main shopping street in Iceland, Reykjavik. It's called Prikið, and the place is 70 years old, this oldest cafe in Reykjavik city. And Helgi is also 70 years old, and he's been going to the same place every day, even twice a day, for 50 years. He always sits in the same place, he always has his mug, and everybody knows him. And it's like really interesting because he's like a shadow, but everybody knows him. So he's invisible, but also very visible. And the thing is about Helgi, what makes him special is that he's in a way autistic. He's very well educated in his area, and knows a lot about many things, and is always open to discuss it with everybody. For example, a teenager, an older person, a tourist, anybody who comes into the cafe. And what is also very special about him is that he gives everybody a hug. And when the film was ready, COVID started, where nobody could hug. So it was very strange to be premiering the film and about a big hugger, and nobody in the world was allowed to hug anybody. So this film is also about the cafe, because the cafe is the main hip-hop place in Iceland. It's like a cradle for grassroots hip-hop artists, graffiti artists, and like I did in my first film, there was this main square between the shopping street and this side street, which was the Heart Garden, and there was this cradle for creativity and outsiders, where they could be and find themselves and do their thing. So I made this film about Helgi, the main character, and his life. I followed him to Copenhagen, where he grew up. I met his mother, his son, his grandchild, and then I also used music and storytelling through the other clients to show the story of the place, the story of Reykjavik in a way. And I used my friend is a photographer who is always taking portraits of people downtown. So he's making photos and I'm making documentaries, and we combined this together. So I used his photography from this place in the film. And so it was a mixture of photographs, interviews, music, live music. Yeah, that's Helgi on a Stick. And my newest film is called Are You Icelandic? Or Kfundagshetjur, and it's about four women that moved to Iceland and have been living here for 20 years. And one of them is from Bosnia, one is from Jamaica, one is from Poland, and one is from Turkey. And they are all very different and very interesting and lovely women, and they have all very different life experiences. And I'm going to premiere this film very soon, and I've been working on it for 4 years with many different immigrants in Iceland. At times I had in my living room like 10 different women always coming for coffee and just discussing how it is to be an immigrant. And then finally I decided to choose 4 women that had it in common to have been living here for 20 years and getting to know them better, their stories, their background, their view of Icelandic society. And so it's kind of a collage because I have 4 main characters, and that can be complicated. So in the editing room where I love to be, I found a way to, I hopefully found a way to make it all flow together. So we get to know the 4 ladies, but all at once, not through separate chapters. So yeah, one thing I could tell you is continue to work, continue saying yes to your ideas, and enjoy filmmaking. You can do it. The 2 next projects, I will just put them on the screen for you guys, and it was nice to meet all of you. You never know where you end up, you know. Life is an adventure, and just be open. We could meet in 20 years and I could be a lawyer. You never know. You know, you can always work hard and be anything. It's not my dream to be a lawyer, but you know, you could change your profession. You can do anything you like, and if you don't like it, I advise you to don't continue. Just follow your dreams and do what you like. Be true